Hello and welcome to my office. My seminars are about the evolution of the life sciences industry and its strategies and its business models. If that's what interests you, then please like and subscribe, but most of all, please share this with a friend or colleague who shares your interest. If you'd like to know more about my research in this area, my 8 books and 300 other publications, there's a link in the notes below to contact me. And if you'd like the article that this seminar is based on, then please stick around to the end of the seminar and I'll tell you how to get that. This seminar is about the strategy review process. Whether at brand, business unit or board level, the strategy review process is a very salient feature of business life. The time and effort it takes and the reputational and political impact it can have make it a strong annual focus for many managers and executives. And like any other business activity, there are those who excel at it and those that don't. In my research, I found that cultural evolution gives a valuable practical insight into how to excel at the strategy review, and that's what I'll cover in the next few minutes. If you find the annual planning cycle an arcane rigmarole, then you're neither the first nor the last person to do so. As an executive, it was part of my calendar for many years, and as an academic researcher, I've observed it in dozens, perhaps hundreds of pharma and edtech companies. Although the details vary, most companies follow a similar pattern. There's always a process that must be adhered to. Those involved with the process are never quite sure why the process is the way it is, and there are always senior people who enforce the process and either approve or disapprove of the outcomes. Now, you don't have to be an anthropologist to see that this annual process is a kind of ritual. Whatever its pros and cons, a ritual is exactly what it is. And that's important because seeing the strategy review as a ritual is a key to excelling as you stand up in front of the room. All social groupings have rituals. Your family probably has its own unique customs, especially at family gatherings. Countries have ceremonies that might be trivial, like pardoning a turkey, or grandiose, like the coronation we recently witnessed in the UK. Your company will certainly have many rituals, from the induction process to the leaving party and everything in between. A ritual is a ritual, even if it's necessary and practical. Your annual strategic planning process is necessary, and to call it a ritual doesn't in any way devalue it, quite the opposite. Understanding why all firms have an annual planning ritual allows you to tap into a rich seam of anthropological knowledge to your personal advantage. So let me show you how to do that. Bronislaw Malinowski was a giant among anthropologists. He lived with the Trobriand people of Malu Island off the coast of Papua New Guinea, observing their customs and recording their rituals. One of his most fascinating observations was that their rituals varied in complexity and importance according to the uncertainty of the situation. So, for example, relatively risk-free inshore fishing was accompanied by simpler rituals, and dangerous deep-sea fishing with all its uncertainties and unknowns involved much more elaborate and sophisticated rituals. Malinowski concluded that the islanders were using ritual to try and impose certainty and to reduce their feelings of insecurity. His findings, and those of many others, tell us that humans are hardwired to try to tame uncertainty by using rituals. Now, this is an interesting finding, but how does it help you when you're standing in front of the leadership team holding a laser pointer? When the leadership team say they need you to present your strategic plan, what is it that they really need? Superficially, they're saying they need information with which they'll assess your proposals and then make an evidence-based decision about implementing your strategy or not. But an anthropologist would see it another way. They would see deeper, unspoken needs. Through an anthropologist's eyes, the leadership team are just as worried about future sales and profits as the Trobriand Islanders are about fishing in the deep and stormy ocean. For both executives and islanders, success is uncertain and they are at considerable personal risk. For both islanders and executives, their deeper need is to reduce uncertainty and increase their feeling of being in control. In both cases, their rituals, whether they're tribal rituals or corporate rituals, or attempts to meet those deeper needs. This anthropological perspective explains why some strategists come out of the review smelling of roses, while others don't. You see, the successful ones play to the deeper need. The unsuccessful ones naively think that their presentation is only about the numbers. The practical take-home lesson here is very important if you're standing at the front of the room trying to impress the boss. Although you probably have to follow a prescribed process, there's always some latitude in how you approach that process. Now, naive strategists will try to dazzle with numbers and charts, and the smart people will do some of that too, but they'll also do something else. They will anticipate what frightens their leaders the most. They'll mitigate those perceived risks, and they'll create a feeling of control over that uncertainty, even if that control is partly illusory. Although only an exemplary minority of strategists know how to do this, I've seen it done in the real world many times. In fact, along with my colleagues Malcolm MacDonald and Keith Ward, I even authored a book about how the best strategists systematically manage the fears of senior executives in a strategy review. If you'd like a sample chapter of that book, by the way, mail me and I'll send it to you. But the take home from this seminar is that if you want to succeed in the strategy review, think less like an accountant and think more like an anthropologist.